KevinHart's voice trembled. His lips quivered as he tried to speak, but no sound came out. Cameras were rolling. Millions of people were watching live. A small tear rolled down his cheek, then another, and before anyone could blink, KevinHart, one of the funniest men alive, was crying. Not the kind of crying you see in movies. This was real, deep, unfiltered. He held a crumpled letter in his hand, his eyes glued to the words that had just changed something inside him. The room was silent. The host, the camera crew, the audience, no one dared to speak. Kevin covered his mouth, trying to catch his breath. He looked up slowly and whispered into the mic. This is not just a message. It's a wake-up call. The name at the bottom of the letter was powerful. Ibrahim Traoré. If this message touches your heart, take a moment to like this video. It helps more people feel this too. And if you believe this world needs more voices like Ibrahim's, subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Kevin was about to explain what was in the letter, but just then his voice cracked again. The screen faded to black. And this is how it all began. A few weeks before that moment, KevinHart had just finished filming a new comedy special. He was feeling good, laughing, joking, surrounded by his crew. But deep down, something had been bothering him. He had been seeing a lot of news from Africa lately. Not the usual headlines, but stories that felt different. Stories about change, about courage, about a young leader from Burkina Faso named Ibrahim Traoré. Kevin didn't know much about him. He'd seen clips on TikTok. This young man, barely in his mid-30s, speaking like a lion. Fearless, proud, and more importantly, real. Kevin felt something stir in him each time he heard that voice. One night, as he scrolled through his phone in bed, he saw a clip titled, "This man speaks for Africa. The world must listen." It was Ibrahim. Again. Only this time, it was a full speech. Kevin tapped on it. For 30 minutes, he didn't blink. Ibrahim spoke about colonialism, pride, dignity, and how Africa must rise. "We are not weak. We are not poor. We have been lied to," he said. Kevin's heart started beating fast. He never heard someone say these things so clearly. He kept replaying one line. "It is not enough to entertain the world while our children cry in silence." That line hit him. The next morning, Kevin called his manager. "I want to know more about this guy." "Ibrahim set something up," he said. The manager laughed. "Kev, he's a head of state. You don't just DM a president." But Kevin was serious. "I don't care if he's on Mars. Give me a way to reach him." A week passed. Then two. No response. Kevin tried through friends, ambassadors, even African comedians he knew. Nothing. He thought it was over, until a plain brown envelope showed up at his office. There was no return address, just his name, handwritten. Inside, there was a single letter. It was from Ibrahim Traoré. Kevin sat alone in his dressing room and read the letter once, then twice, then again. It was powerful. It spoke of truth, pain, and hope. Ibrahim wrote not just to Kevin the comedian, but to Kevin the black man, the father, the son. He reminded him that his laughter held weight, that his voice had power far beyond punchlines. And at the end of the letter, one sentence stood alone. "What will you do with your voice when the world is finally listening?" Kevin folded the letter and just sat there, silent. If you've ever felt like something bigger is calling you, share this story. Someone else might be waiting for that same call. Later that week, Kevin was invited to a major talk show. He wasn't planning to talk about the letter. It was too personal. But just before going on stage, the producer handed him a note. "Hey Kev, someone from Burkina Faso sent this in. Said you might want to read it on air." No pressure though. It was the same letter. He stepped onto the stage, sat across from the host, and smiled as the questions began. The usual stuff, movies, tours, jokes. But his heart wasn't in it. His mind kept drifting. Finally, the host asked, "Kevin, you've made the world laugh. What's something that's made you cry lately?" And just like that, the letter was in his hand. Kevin read it slowly, word by word. His voice cracked on the second paragraph. By the end, he was wiping tears. And in that moment, live, unscripted, raw, KevinHart showed the world a different kind of strength. Vulnerability. The camera zoomed in. People at home felt it. You could hear the breath of the audience held in silence. If you're still watching and feeling something right now, hit the like button. Let's spread this energy. It's not just a story. It's a moment. And just when Kevin was about to share what Ibrahim had written in that final line, a loud pop echoed through the studio. The lights flickered. The cameras froze. Someone in the control room shouted, "Cut the feed." People started rushing to the stage. Kevin was confused. The letter slipped from his hand. A voice whispered through the speakers. "There's been an incident in Ouagadougou. Ibrahim Traoré has disappeared." Kevin stood frozen. The audience gasped. Everything went dark. The silence in the studio was heavy, like the whole world had stopped breathing. Kevin stood there, eyes wide, heart pounding in his chest. He wasn't sure what he had just heard. Ibrahim Traoré has disappeared. The host leaned toward his earpiece, trying to get more information, but the signal was fuzzy. A woman from the production team ran onto the stage, whispering something quickly to the host before guiding him off camera. Kevin stood alone under the hot studio lights, still holding the corner of the letter that had slipped halfway from his hand. Nobody moved. People watching from home saw the screen cut to a technical difficulties message. But in the studio, the tension was real. Some people were crying. Some were whispering. Kevin just stood there, as if his feet were glued to the floor. If this moment has you on edge like it has us, give this video a like, because what you're about to hear next will shake you even more. A few minutes later, the studio was cleared. Kevin was taken to a private room. His manager rushed in with his phone in hand. "Kev," he said breathlessly, "it's real. News outlets in West Africa are reporting Ibrahim's convoy was attacked. There's smoke in the capital. They're not saying much, but it doesn't look good." Kevin sank into a chair. "You're saying the guy who wrote me this letter might be dead?" No one answered. The letter lay on the table. Kevin picked it up again. This time, he read it not as a celebrity, not as a guest on a talk show, but as someone who felt helpless. This young African leader had seen something in him, something worth reaching out for. And now, just when the message was starting to spread, he was gone? "I can't sit on this," Kevin said softly. "I have to do something." His manager tried to stop him. "Kev, this is dangerous stuff. Political stuff. You're a comedian, not an activist." Kevin looked up slowly. "Not today. If you believe every voice matters, no matter where it comes from, subscribe and share this message. Silence only helps the ones who want us quiet." That night, Kevin posted a video on his Instagram. No makeup, no lighting, just him in his hoodie, sitting at his kitchen table, reading Ibrahim's letter word for word. No jokes, no music, just truth. It went viral in under an hour. People across the globe began reposting it. African youth started using the hashtag #WeHearYou. Celebrities, musicians, even politicians began to comment. Something was happening, something big. A voice that was almost silenced had now become a storm. The next day, Kevin got a call. A deep voice on the other end said, "Mr. Hart, you need to come to Accra." "Who is this?" "I work with someone close to the situation in Burkina Faso. Ibrahim is alive, but barely, and he left instructions in case something like this ever happened." Kevin's breath caught in his throat. "Instructions?" "Yes," the voice said, "and they involve you." Kevin didn't even wait. By the next night, he was on a plane to Ghana with a small team and the letter in his pocket. His flight landed just before dawn. The air smelled of rain and red earth. In Accra, a black SUV met him at the airport. No signs, no talking, just a silent drive through sleeping streets. The SUV finally stopped in front of a small home outside the city. A woman with kind eyes opened the door. "He trusted you," she said simply, "and now we need you." Inside the house was a table, a single folder, and a phone set up for a video call. Kevin sat down. The woman slid the folder to him. "These are copies of the speeches Ibrahim never got to give. And this," she tapped the phone, "is someone who can tell you why." The phone rang. Kevin stared at it, nervous. Then the screen lit up. A man's face appeared, half-shadowed. "Ibrahim told me," the man said slowly, "that if anything happened to him, the world would only listen if someone with the world's attention spoke up." Kevin leaned in. "And you think that person is me?" "No," the man said. "Ibrahim did. If you're still with us, feeling this fire in your chest, share this video. This isn't just a story. It's a mission now. Kevin closed the folder and nodded. Tell me everything. Back in Los Angeles, the video Kevin had posted continued to spread. News stations began to cover Ibrahim's story. For the first time, major Western media outlets were talking about Burkina Faso, not for war or poverty, but for resistance, strength, vision. Kevin returned to LA 3 days later, but something inside him had changed. He canceled the tour date. Then, too, his team panicked, but he didn't care. He had a plan. He called a press conference. Every reporter in town showed up. Cameras flashed. People thought it was about a new movie, maybe another Netflix deal. Instead, Kevin walked up to the mic, held up the letter, and said, "This is the most important script I've ever read." And it wasn't written by Hollywood. He talked about Ibrahim, about the letter, about the voice that wasn't just speaking to Africa, but to the world. And then, in front of the cameras, he read the final line again. What will you do with your voice when the world is finally listening? There was silence, and then clapping. Loud, powerful, unstoppable. Kevin smiled for a moment, and then whispered into the mic, "This isn't over. In fact, it's just the beginning." But just as the cameras were packing up, a phone rang at the front of the room. A producer picked it up, listened quietly, and then rushed to Kevin's side. He leaned in and said one word. "They've taken the woman who gave you the folder." Kevin's smile faded. His eyes sharpened. Kevin didn't blink. His heart pounded like drums in his chest. The words echoed in his ears. "They've taken the woman who gave you the folder." Everything around him blurred. The cameras, the crowd, the noise. All he could see was her face. Those kind eyes. The calm voice. The way she had said, "He trusted you." Gone. Taken. Kevin clenched his fists, the letter still in his pocket. That letter was no longer just a message. It was a threat to those who didn't want the truth out. Whoever they were watching. And now, they were warning him. But KevinHart was not backing down. If this moment has your heart racing, don't scroll away. Like this video, because the story isn't over. The world needs to hear what happens next. That same night, Kevin flew back to Accra. Alone. No crew. No agents. No cameras. He didn't even tell his team. When he arrived, he was met by the same man from the video call. His name was Jibril, and he had once been Ibrahim's bodyguard. "They came 2 nights ago," Jibril said in a hushed voice. No warning. No reason. Just silence. "They took her." Kevin's voice cracked. "She helped me." "Why her?" Jibril looked him in the eye. "Because she passed the truth to you, and the truth is dangerous." Kevin nodded slowly. "Then let's make it louder." Back in the U.S., people had started waking up. #WeHearYou was trending in over 30 countries. Thousands of people started asking questions. Who was Ibrahim Traoré? Why had KevinHart spoken about him? What was in that letter? News networks were divided. Some said Kevin had gone too far. Others called him a hero. But Kevin didn't care about the headlines. He had a plan now. With help from Jibril, he found a hidden drive left behind by Ibrahim. It contained never-before-seen footage, speeches, plans, and a video message recorded just days before the attack. In the video, Ibrahim stared into the camera and said, "If you're watching this, it means I may be silenced. But I'm not gone. I speak through you now. Whoever you are, speak louder." Kevin watched it 3 times. Then he made a decision. He was going to air it live. The next 48 hours moved fast. Kevin reached out to every major network, every streaming platform. Some turned him down. Too risky. Too political. But finally, one global news channel agreed. They gave him 1 hour. Prime time. Live. Kevin posted on his social media. "This is bigger than me. Bigger than comedy. Tomorrow night, we speak truth. Together. If you believe the time for truth is now, subscribe. Share. Don't let this moment fade away." The night came. Kevin stood in a dark studio. A single spotlight lit the floor beneath him. No jokes. No clapping. Just silence. He looked into the camera and said, "I'm not here as a comedian. I'm here as a man. A father. A brother. A believer in something bigger than fame. What you're about to see is the voice of a leader who loved his people more than his life." Then, the screen behind him lit up, and Ibrahim's face appeared. For 12 powerful minutes, the world watched as Ibrahim spoke about African unity, the power of knowledge, and the strength of young people. He spoke of freedom, not just from colonizers, but from fear. He named names, called out systems, and ended with a challenge. We don't need to ask for a seat at their table. We must build our own. The video ended. The screen went black. Kevin turned back to the camera. Tears filled his eyes. He whispered, "He's not gone. He's just begun." The feed cut. The world exploded. Millions watched. Millions more replayed the broadcast. The hashtag Ibrahim Speaks began trending instantly. Celebrities joined in. Students in Ghana marched with signs. Youth groups in Nigeria, South Africa, Senegal, they all stood up. And then, something unbelievable happened. Kevin received a message. A location pin. No name. Just a short sentence. "Come. She's alive." Kevin was flown by helicopter into a remote area in the Burkina Faso mountains. The air was thin. His heart pounded harder with every turn. When the chopper landed, he saw her, standing near a small campfire. She was bruised, tired, but smiling. "I told you," she said. "He trusted you." Kevin rushed to her. They hugged without words. Just breath. Just relief. But then she looked him in the eyes and said something he would never forget. "Ibrahim is alive too." Kevin's mouth fell open. "What?" But they said, "He escaped. Barely. But he can't speak publicly. Not yet. They're watching. But he's safe. And he knows what you've done." Kevin sank to the ground, overwhelmed. If you've been with this story till now, thank you. Like this video if your heart is full. Share it if you believe truth can still win. That night, around the campfire, she handed Kevin one last envelope. Inside was a small note. Only one sentence. Written in Ibrahim's handwriting. "You didn't choose the mission. The mission chose you." Kevin returned home a different man. He still made people laugh, but now he also made them think. Every show had a message. Every interview had a moment of truth. The letter was framed in his home. Not behind glass, but open, so it could still be touched, read, remembered. Ibrahim remained in hiding, but the world was now listening. Because Kevin had used his voice. And that voice, once meant for jokes, had echoed across continents, carrying a message that would never be silenced again. If this story touched you, let it live beyond your screen. Like it, share it, and remember, your voice might just be the next one the world needs.